These trucks set out to deliver tank and artillery ammunition, supplies the Russian army desperately needs to break through Ukrainian defensive lines. Yet a single HIMARS missile strike is enough to throw the entire Russian logistics chain into chaos. Ammunition worth millions of dollars detonates, scattering everywhere. The planned Russian offensive in Donbass is now halted. The supply chain has collapsed. HIMARS has carried out its mission flawlessly. Russian generals, however, ordered the destruction of this relentless HIMARS system. Reconnaissance units move into the target area, operators establish mobile observation posts, radar antennas are raised, and the Orlan-10 drone is deployed. The Orlan takes off, and the hunt for HIMARS begins. After hours of reconnaissance flights, the target is detected, coordinates are transmitted, and an attack is launched to destroy HIMARS. The missile system is prepared to fire. Meanwhile, HIMARS continues its own hunt. Russia's two most effective artillery systems take positions and open fire, attempting to halt the Ukrainian counterattack.
Let's fall back, retreat!
Guided by precise coordinates from Ukrainian reconnaissance, HIMARS launches 2 missiles. Judging by their accuracy, it becomes clear how great a threat this Russian missile defense system poses to Ukrainian aircraft and drones. HIMARS's mission is to secure the skies for Ukrainian aviation. The first missile destroys the radar antenna. The second delivers a direct hit to the launcher. With the threat neutralized, Ukrainian warplanes enter enemy airspace and obliterate a strategically important ammunition depot. The mission is accomplished. Coordination between air support, reconnaissance units, and HIMARS works seamlessly. Soon after, a new target emerges for HIMARS. The BM-21 Grad unleashes its entire firepower to block the Ukrainian counteroffensive. But HIMARS intervenes. A strike is launched, the artillery threat is eliminated, and the troops push forward. Having fired all 6 of its rockets, HIMARS completes its task successfully. The system then withdraws to a secure, concealed location, allowing the crew to rest. But Russian intelligence has been tracking HIMARS's every move, transmitting coordinates back to headquarters. As HIMARS awaits reloading, the crew steps out of the vehicle. Knowing the system's position, the Russians order an attack. From Russian territory, a missile is launched from 480 kilometers away. Within 20 minutes, it strikes the target. This marks the first confirmed hit against a HIMARS in the war. The Russian reconnaissance operation proves the importance of staying one step ahead of the enemy. Still, before being hit, HIMARS had inflicted far greater damage on Russia. The crew survives, having been outside the impact zone, and evacuation is carried out immediately. HIMARS, the High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, has become one of Ukraine's most decisive assets. Since being supplied by the United States, it has dealt devastating blows to the Russian military, targeting command centers, ammunition depots, railway lines, and bridges. These strikes crippled Russian supply routes. Russian generals have made it their mission to track down and neutralize every HIMARS. Meanwhile, Russia continues to lose billions of dollars worth of rare and difficult-to-replace military equipment. The destructive power of these artillery units tearing through Ukrainian trenches is undeniable. Survival from such attacks often depends solely on luck. Once missions are complete, HIMARS systems withdraw into hidden positions. But Ukrainian intelligence intercepts coordinates and relays them to HIMARS crews. As a result, vehicles and ammunition worth millions are wiped out within minutes. Russia's advanced air defense system also managed to shoot down a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone. Yet the drone's final transmission clearly revealed its location. HIMARS operators locked onto the site. a missile struck near the system and cluster munitions hit its ammunition. The $7 million system, along with its trained crew, was destroyed. After attacking Ukrainian positions, Russian artillery vehicles quickly retreat. Thanks to their mobility, they managed to hide in wooded areas within minutes. But with reconnaissance drones and HIMARS crews working together, this effort is in vain. HIMARS destroys the system with pinpoint accuracy. Known as Smerch, this rocket system is one of the weapons that devastated Ukrainian cities. The scenes of houses reduced to rubble once again reveal the destructive face of war. After expending its rockets, Smerch moves to reload, but a reconnaissance vehicle rapidly transmits its position to HIMARS. A two-missile strike disables this deadly system. This advanced Russian weapon, which controlled the airspace over Pokrovsk, was designed to block Ukrainian helicopters, frontline air assets, and reconnaissance drones. As a result, Ukrainian recon units, unable to observe the battlefield, found themselves in a difficult position. The sixth drone that day was shot down in the same way. Still, the system's location is eventually discovered. The coordinates are sent to HIMARS, which launches two missiles at the target. Yet, due to limited visibility on the battlefield, the Ukrainians had not detected this surface-to-air missile system in time. The operator identifies the incoming HIMARS rockets and intercepts one of them. But the second missile hits its mark. Having repeatedly shot down Ukrainian drones and crippled reconnaissance capability, this system is finally neutralized. With the threat eliminated, Ukrainians once again deploy reconnaissance drones into the sky. Russian troops attempt to hide the system among the trees, but a day later the Ukrainians rediscover its position and transmit precise coordinates to HIMARS. Valued at $25 million, the system is completely destroyed in the strike. So what does Russia have against HIMARS? One of the most commonly used multiple-launch rocket systems is the BM-21 Grad. Carrying 40 rockets of 122mm caliber, it can fire them all within just 20 seconds, striking targets up to 16 kilometers away. It is highly effective against infantry and lightly armored vehicles. However, because its firepower spreads across a wide area, it lacks precision. The more powerful version, SMERCH, can launch 12 rockets of 300mm caliber, reaching a range of 80 kilometers. While powerful, its accuracy is low. Instead of destroying a specific target, it inflicts damage across a wide zone. This is where HIMARS shows its edge. While the Russians need dozens of rockets to destroy a single target, HIMARS can achieve the same with just a few precise strikes. The countless craters left behind by Russian systems across Ukrainian battlefields make this difference visible. Another of Russia's most fearsome weapons is the TOS rocket complex. Unlike HIMARS, it is not designed for precision, but for total devastation. With 24 rockets of 220mm caliber fired simultaneously, it can set ablaze an area of about 10 acres. The intense shockwaves are powerful enough to rupture internal organs. However, with a range limited to just 6 kilometers, it can only be used at the front line. After such a devastating strike, the TOS-1 tries to retreat quickly. But in a grim reminder of the saying, "He who lives by the sword dies by the sword," HIMARS steps in and destroys the system. The resulting explosion signals the annihilation of a vehicle worth $5 million. Even as Russian command mobilizes satellites and drones to locate HIMARS, their success remains limited. The war between Ukraine and Russia has entered its third year, and while much has changed since the full-scale invasion began in 2022, the intensity of the fighting has not diminished. What started as a rapid Russian attempt to capture Kyiv has transformed into a prolonged war of attrition. fought not only on the front lines, but also across infrastructure, energy, and diplomacy. In this long and grinding conflict, one of the most decisive weapons in Ukraine's arsenal has been the HIMARS rocket system, which has fundamentally altered the balance on the battlefield. HIMARS, or High Mobility Artillery Rocket Systems, were first delivered to Ukraine in 2022, and their impact was immediate. Unlike traditional artillery, which can be powerful but often imprecise, HIMARS is able to strike with pinpoint accuracy at distances up to 80 kilometers with standard rockets, and even further with advanced munitions. For Ukraine, this meant that suddenly Russian ammunition depots, command posts, supply hubs, and bridges, targets previously thought to be out of reach, could now be destroyed in seconds. These strikes not only disrupted Russia's logistics, but also shattered the sense of security that Russian forces had enjoyed behind their lines. Today, HIMARS continues to play a critical role, and its importance has only grown as the war has become more about endurance and resources. Recent Ukrainian operations in the Belgorod region are a clear example. Using precision strikes, Ukrainian forces destroyed multiple Russian helicopters, including Ka-52 attack models and Mi-8 transport aircraft, at an airfield thought to be secure. This kind of operation sends a strong message. No part of Russia's military machine can consider itself safe. Each strike forces Moscow to pull back assets, disperse supplies, and commit resources to defense rather than offense. But the war is not just about military positions. It is also being fought over energy. Russia has been waging an aggressive campaign against Ukraine's power grid, launching waves of drone and missile strikes designed to cut electricity for millions, especially as winter approaches. Entire regions have been hit, and cities like Poltava, Sumy, and Chernihiv have faced repeated blackouts. Ukrainian air defenses have managed to intercept most of these attacks, but the damage to civilian infrastructure remains serious. Yet Ukraine has not been passive. By using HIMARS and domestically developed drones, Kyiv has turned its attention to Russia's own energy sector. Strikes on the Druzhba oil pipeline, the very pipeline that supplies oil to parts of Europe, have disrupted shipments, creating financial losses for Moscow and putting pressure on its war economy. In recent weeks, attacks on refineries and fuel depots inside Russia have even triggered fuel shortages in some areas, causing frustration among the Russian population. At the same time, Ukraine has been rapidly innovating. Domestic initiatives such as the Firepoint program are producing long-range drones and cruise missiles capable of reaching 1,600 kilometers and beyond. One of these, the FP5 missile, is believed to have a range of up to 3,000 kilometers, meaning that no target deep inside Russia is out of reach. This transformation is significant because it reduces Ukraine's reliance on Western deliveries, giving the country a degree of independence in sustaining its military operations. In many ways, Ukraine is not just defending itself with Western weapons anymore. It is actively building the means to strike back with homegrown technology. On the front lines, the situation remains tense. Russian forces have attempted to expand their control in areas near Dnipropetrovsk and Pokrovsk, trying to stretch Ukrainian defenses. However, despite the intensity of Russian assaults, Ukrainian positions remain largely intact, bolstered by the combination of strong defensive tactics and precision strikes on enemy logistics. What Russia hoped would be a quick breakthrough has instead turned into another grinding battle of attrition. Both armies are locked in a cycle of attack and counterattack, with neither able to deliver a decisive blow, but Ukraine has managed to keep Russia off balance through its precision strikes and creative use of technology. Diplomatic efforts have been ongoing, though progress is minimal. President Volodymyr Zelensky has publicly called for direct talks with Russia, but Moscow has shown no willingness to engage seriously. Meanwhile, attempts by the United States and other intermediaries to facilitate negotiations have so far produced little. The lack of diplomatic movement means that, for now, the battlefield remains the only arena where decisions are being made. Yet, Ukraine's ability to resist militarily gives it leverage in these discussions, ensuring that it cannot simply be forced into unfavorable terms.